Hello and welcome to Strictly Okay for our very first hate episode.
Ah, yeah, baby. Can you feel the heat?
So if you've noticed, we've changed our background to something a little more
Zesty.
appropriate, because we're going to be talking about a trash fire today.
Oh my god, such a terrible, terrible production.
Lucy, if you'd like to, this is more Lucy's project than my project. I'm still passionate about it, but Lucy's she's got a personal vendetta versus this movie. So if you'd like to kick us off, Lucy,
So,
what are we talking about today?
we are talking about what should have been a heroic, great movie specifically for the young audience that happened to be female. So we don't get a lot of super awesome female superheroes out there. There are a ton of them. They just don't get a lot of screen time.
Yep,
So
especially when it comes to the big movies.
right, like big cinema, big box office. We're gonna throw down on this character to try to do them justice. So, it's hard for me to say this, but the movie we are talking about is Wonder Woman, the first one. It is just so fucking terrible. And, yeah, like, I'm not even sure how to go about it initially, because we talked about that before. But I think I will start off by listing a couple of the positives, because there are oh so few of them. So I will list...
Let's start off positively.
Yeah, well, so I'll list a couple of positives. I'd like to hear your take on some potential positives of this movie, but then we're going to rip it to fucking shreds.
Your microphone is directly in your face.
No, it's not.
No, as in like the camera is just it's literally, which is fine. You know, this is gonna go on podcast form.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, it's if you want the YouTube to look better. Yeah, right. That angle's
better?
perfect. That
Okay.
angle's perfect.
Perfect.
So yeah, start with the positives.
Start with the very, very few positives with this movie. One of the positives that I will give the movie is that I did like her costume.
Well,
Like
no, the production.
actual production of her costume and her suit, I liked. I liked
Okay.
the way it looked.
Had some like gruff to it.
It
You
had
know
a
what I
little
mean?
bit of
You know what I
it
mean?
was. I loved like the all metallic feel to
Yeah.
it, and instead of sometimes
It's
they
a little
did,
like not grimy, but it's like worn. It's
right,
like battle worn.
It's a battle
Yeah,
worn,
yeah.
exactly. Like I liked that versus they could have gone like the leather route. You know, that's a really easy route to go with that
Mm-hmm.
suit. But so that was a positive that I will give. Like I did like costume design in general. I thought the movie itself was very colorful, which I enjoyed. So that's a positive. Another positive is... See, I thought I could remember them because there were so few. There was
You know, it's a good movie when the highest compliment you can get is, "I like the costume."
right? Right?
Because it was cool.
I'm trying to think anything else that I was like, yes, I enjoyed.
That was my only positive.
Yeah, like I
It's
think
really my only positive.
like my
about.
other one, I think I was gonna say like the weapons that they use, but I feel like that's kind of in the same category.
Yeah.
Like
Like just how they looked visually.
Yeah,
or-
like visually, I like that they had large weapons. Like I like that on the beach they had the large bow and arrow instead of the. Sometimes they do the smaller, more dainty stuff. They didn't do that, so that was cool. But yeah, that's all I got. Is there any positives you'd like to add?
No, that's about it.
Okay,
That's
'cause
about it.
I'm really trying to think.
That's written down in my notes too. Of just like, hey, one positive is I like the suit.
Yeah, the suit. Now, for everything that's wrong with this movie,
I'm gonna get my
I
notes.
think the way that I'm going to start out is I'm going to separate comic book background that they totally screwed
Oh
up.
yeah, okay. So I think a good way to start this episode is you explain because you are a huge Wonder Woman fan.
I am. I love.
So when you're making a movie based off of a IP like this, like I'm a huge fan of Batman and Superman.
Right.
So when they make movies, I have an idea in my head what I want the movie to be, what check boxes I want it to check.
Yes.
So it represents the character I know and love, and the character that has sold well for almost 100 years.
Well, and then you have the initial IP, so you can have those artistic differences in the way that you're producing the character, but the bone work is the same.
So, as a giant Wonder Woman fan,
yes,
when you first heard they're making a Wonder Woman movie, what are the check boxes that went off in your head that like, hey, this is what I want to see in a Wonder Woman movie? So we know where the expectations were,
right,
and then we'll go to what we got.
Right.
So we'll start. It'll help provide context of how much of a letdown it was.
Right. Okay. So that's a good way to structure it. So check boxes for things that I really wanted to see in the movie when I heard they were producing it. First, I was really worried when I heard they were producing it because it's the same Snyderverse, and I'm not the hugest fan of that
Zach.
universe. But I was like, cool. Because it's part of that series, essentially, they're going to put a lot of money into it. Mm-hmm. So I thought, cool, this will be great. I really wanted it to be some strong points where I really wanted it to be a warrior movie. I really wanted it to hit on how strong she was individually as like a fighter and as someone that could hold her own and have her own will and like
something kind of like Spartacus or Gladiator kind of vibe.
Kind of like a Gladiator vibe, but like give us some backstory, some bone into why she is so adventurous and strong and outside of her relationships to the gods. Like, why is Wonder Woman most formidable? Because outside of, like, those strengths that she has, she is the strongest and best fighter on the island.
Yeah.
And I wanted that to be shown. Like, that's really what I wanted to see as a big one.
You wanted to see that through, and this is reference, because, again, we're going to kind of go to what we got. But you wanted to see that through determination and skill instead of like, oh, well, she's just like special. And that's the reason why she's better than everybody else.
Right, and that's why I'm saying like
she's
outside,
the best because she earned it.
Right, she earned this spot. She actually doesn't get like
she works tooth and nail to become the best warrior.
She doesn't actually get some of her like actual like some of the enhancements that she gets, like the bracelets, the tiara, all that stuff.
Her magical gear.
All that stuff she doesn't really get until later. So she grows
until
up
after the fact. She's a good warrior.
She's the only child that's on that island. So I really wanted it to be shown, like, dude, like they like trained this kid. Literally, the entire island trained this kid. So, like, the expert in swordsmanship, the expert in archery, the expert in horseback riding, the expert in literally steel making.
Well, not only that is, like, tactician-wise, not only is she good with a sword, but she's able to look at a battlefield and be like, hey, my resources go here, and this goes here.
Right.
Like,
and she should have gotten all that training through all of these masters, because
that could have been the whole movie.
That could have been the whole movie.
That could have been the whole movie.
So, and all of these masters on the island are just that. They are masters in these very specific forms of war. And they're all war forms. Like,
well, correct me if I'm wrong, are the Themyscirans, are all of them immortal?
Yes.
Okay, so they've been around.
Yes.
They have endless knowledge when it comes to this
without
stuff.
getting too much into the backstory of where they come from. They are a rescued people that have been handpicked by. It varies in the comics, you know, who it is, but it's usually Athena. And Athena is like, these essentially are my bad bitches, and they're gonna fucking work for me. And she's the one that bestows them the island and gives them, like, that anonymity from the man's world.
Yeah, and you were we talked about this on our personal lives, but Athena makes them in spite of Zeus. Correct?
Yeah, so that's why initially I was saying I was going to say some comic book stuff because a lot of my
Well,
initial
it's important. This important backstory.
Yeah,
of, like,
a lot
'cause-
of my initial complaints are from the origin of Wonder Woman. Like the initial origin of Wonder Woman is she's made out of sand. And she gets made out of sand by her mom, and her mom, because her mom is upset and is lonely and has been alone for a long time and craves a daughter. So she prays to Athena and prays and prays and prays and makes a daughter out of sand and puts her up into the air, and Athena blesses her, she dips her in water, and there's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman doesn't have a father. There is no man in her life at all. Period. So when they say, like, the initial beginning of the movie, when they say, like, okay, they had this big fight with Hercules, some of that is true. Like, they had a big fight, but the whole thing is about how Zeus blessed them and gave them everything they needed.
This is in the
and
movie
then
form.
This is
not
in the movie
yeah.
form. So it's just like, and that was a
Well,
huge.
Not only.
That was such a huge problem.
Well, I think it's such a big problem for you and probably other comic book goers is not only is it cool that, you know, it's like it's all woman made,
right, exactly.
but it also feeds into this theme of rebellion. She is
Constantly.
made
Literally
from
made
an
from
act of rebellion.
Yeah, and then there's
Is
actually a whole.
the mom couldn't have a daughter, so
Yup.
she rebelled against nature in that way. Athena made her in rebellion of Zeus, along with the rest of them.
Yup.
So it's in Wonder Woman's DNA
Yeah.
to
rebel.
rebel.
Like literally, there's an entire comic like storyline where Zeus is watching her grow, is all pissed off about it. I was like, well, you know, in a typical Zeus fashion.
A classic Zeus move, if
I'm
you will.
gonna go down and riz her up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just fucking horrendous. And I mean, Wonder Woman has literally nothing to do with it. It's just like, what, like, because he comes down all godlike, you
Yeah.
know, hi, I'm Zeus, da da da, and talks to her and stuff like that, and then like goes to kiss her, and essentially she bitch slaps him, and I was like, what do you think you're doing? And he's like, I made you, and she's very solid on,
Much
no,
like, no,
you
you
did
didn't.
not, like,
You're gaslighting me.
essentially. And I was like, no, you didn't. Athena made me and my mom, and I don't know what this is, but I'm out, dude.
Yeah.
And he is not cool with it. She has to go to the underworld.
You're telling
like,
me that Zeus was not chill about something?
I know. So there's like a whole storyline about that where Zeus is actually mad about it.
So,
like,
yeah, and I guess to start off, that's part of your big milestone expectation is that she will have, because we're going to get farther into it,
yes.
but her rebellious soul
yes.
is not really
At
there
all.
in the
It
origin
does-
or throughout the movie.
It does not exist.
There's one instant where it pops up, but the rest of the movie, she's just...
There's no rebellion in her. It's just
Yeah.
whiny.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, why can't we do this? Or why can't we do this?
She never
Oh,
really takes
okay,
charge.
Steve.
Yeah,
okay, Steve. Like, I just... second big checkbox.
Uh-huh.
No love interest.
That's what you wanted. That's what you wanted was no love interest. But Lucy, it's a Hollywood movie.
No!
You have to have a love interest.
No! No!
Statistics say, the polls say that the movie will sell 8% better if we get Chris Pine as the love interest.
You can plant the seeds.
His eyes
You
are
can plant-
dreamy, Lucy.
You can plant the seeds. How many superhero movies that you have the main love interest, but they never actually get together until like the third fucking installment?
Yeah.
You could do that.
You could.
I just didn't want her to be distracted by a man, and that is literally what
The whole
happened.
movie.
The whole fucking
That's
movie.
the whole movie.
He walked her, and I'm not even saying that exaggerating. He literally, hand on her back,
Yeah.
walks her
Yeah.
through the entire movie.
Yeah.
I really, the first time he started to do that, I thought, great character moment. She should, like, warrior
Shoo him
mode.
away.
Just, what are you doing? Why? Is someone there?
Yeah.
Like, why? What's wrong? Like, But no, she allows him to do it, which
Well, actually,
irritates the shit out
because
of me.
what was it? My first watch, I was like, yeah, this movie's okay. But on my second watch, I really did like notice like it's almost the whole movie where he's either grabbing her hand
Yep.
and pulling her along,
It's the
or
whole
leading
movie.
her, or in
It's
some
the
way.
whole
The
movie.
whole movie. It really is the whole.
I remember seeing this movie the
I mean,
first time with you.
The only time he's not doing that is when
Oh my God.
she's fighting.
Right.
But the rest of
if the movie,
everything
he's doing that.
is he's really the decision maker. She's not an active
all.
protagonist.
I remember-
She's a very passive one.
I remember talking to you when the movie first came out. You're like, I thought it was pretty good. It was like, I almost walked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like,
well, tell the
like,
story for the
oh
audience.
my God,
for all 10
dude.
people listening.
Fuck.
Tell me what the story you've told me before of when you were first going to the theaters. What did you tell yourself?
I literally walked into the theaters, and at
Remember,
this,
this is a big deal for her.
Like, I walked into the theater, and at this point, you know, I had seen some of the trailers, so I knew that Steve Trevor was gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Like, I knew a little bit of, you know, kind of what they were gonna do, and it was just like, please, for the love of God, just don't sleep with him. Like, this is the only thing I ask of this whole movie. Don't sleep with him. And if you do, it's because you, like, threw him on the ground and was like, give me that dick. Like, like that's the only way it
Watch
could
says
happen.
it's dick appointment, pussy boy.
Yes, I wanted him to actually be scared.
Yeah,
Like,
Mark
like,
me down as scared and horny.
yes, that is the only acceptable vibe for that.
Yeah.
And I have so many, and so many of my problems are circle one, comic book related.
Yeah.
Because you're not true to her character origin. You're not true to her character story. You're not even true to her character how she gets her armor. Like, I love that outfit of the armor, but it doesn't even fucking make sense. It's the United States flag, and they don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
They don't even
Yeah.
talk about it.
It
That's
is
such
red,
a
white, and blue.
that's such a big fucking deal because there's a huge tournament which they don't fucking do. There's a huge tournament that her mom actually puts her in jail for because she's like, I know that you're gonna fucking get in this tournament somehow, so I'm putting you in jail. So she's in jail for like weeks, and she has no idea when this tournament's gonna be because her mom's trying to be da 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 da. But of course, she's Wonder Woman, so
figures it out.
She figures it out and has accomplices on the island that, you know, she's smoozing by, but they don't want to disobey the queen. But they're like, yeah, okay.
Which,
Like,
again, she's about rebellion.
Right,
It
all
goes into-
rebellion.
It's
So
in her
she-
character.
So she finally switches places with somebody, which is actually the guard watching her because they're friends. And she's like, come on, let me just do this. And then I'll come back. I just want to see how well I'm going to do, which we all know is a lie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so she switches costumes, goes in, wins the tournament on her own merit, beats every single Amazon on that island. And this is all even before the debacle of keeping Steve Trevor even alive. Oh my god. So
This is precursor to Man's World.
precursor to Man's World, dude. Like, oh my god. So when Trevor's
Well, wait. Finish your thing about the costume because you're on the train of the
Okay,
costume.
so-
She beats the tournament.
she beats the tournament, when she beats the tournament, you know, she has to be revealed to her mom. She gets revealed to her mom. Her mom is fucking furious. You
She's
know.
like, I'm a little rebel.
The other mom's fucking furious and is like, fuck you, no, you're not going. Because the whole tournament is to go to the United States to return Steve Trevor.
Uh-huh.
That's the whole point. They're like,
The strong of us will
where,
go. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
from where do you claim? And then the strong of us will drop you off, help with your war, and then come back, because that's like our duty.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thought, okay? Which is a thought that Wonder Woman put in their heads initially. But anyways, so like, that happens, she wins. Well, when she wins and the blow up happens with her mom and they argue and they fight, and then she's like, I'm better than you, Mom. And Mom's like, I just love you and I don't want you to leave.
Yeah.
Like,
Some interpersonal character drama.
so after all that happens, Mom says, okay, I'm going to take you to get your, because
Your armor.
your armor, because you're representing us as the Amazon, but you are a guest in this country. So as being a guest in this country, we are going to go as a sign of peace. So we wielded this for you in the
honor
of the country that you're now going to help fight for. So it's just like,
well, again, there's huge backstory
there's a
to
huge
it.
backstory as to
And there's a
why
reason
it's there.
why it's there.
You're right, and they don't hit on that at all. Like, even at all. Even the stars on the old suit on her tiara,
Yep.
that was the same thing. It was built for the same thing. That's why they made it. Like, another one, since we're talking about the armors, the bracelet. Not every Amazon has bracelets. No. They had a style of bracelet that they used.
Like kind of gauntlet thing.
But the ones that she got were special. They are special bracelets. They are magically enhanced, and so the bracelets that they have
are
are
like
more
endowed.
are more for like defense and stuff. So I can give the smallest bit of credit to that in the movie.
Well, in the movies, I never got the impression that it was the bracelets that were magical. It was her. Because the first time she does this, and it makes everyone fall.
It makes her magical.
They were just regular gauntlets. They never said anything about the bracelets.
That's wrong.
So exactly. So it's like
they're magic, as is the lasso.
That's the big problem about the movie is that she doesn't. I don't want to say she doesn't earn it, but like she's just like, oh, you're special.
Right,
you're special. So therefore, look at all this.
She's special because she's Diana.
And
that's it.
And that's the thing is just like it takes away from the character because she's like, well, you only won because you're special and you're magical and stuff.
No.
Instead of you are like everyone else, and despite that, you clawed your way to the top.
Yep. And she fought and she had to prove herself just as much, if not more so, than everybody else. Like,
because she's technically the youngest.
Because she is totally
yeah.
like. And so it's just it's frustrating. Like, does she eventually like when she matures and stuff, she really grows into her powers, which she's her super strength, that type of thing. But a lot of Amazons are strong too. She's just the strongest. Like So, but going to the beginning of the movie, after we get that was my other positive. Was the book. The way that they had the book as a storytelling tool to do the backstory for her. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Because the mom's sitting down with her and is.
Sorry, I just need to call someone back.
No,
you can explain it to the audience real quick? I just gotta give someone a call back. Sorry.
You're good. But she has a book, and she's explaining to Diana their entire backstory and who they are and what they are. So I liked that. I liked the book concept. Kind of had like a movie and Harry Potter picture. Had that magic to it. I did like that. The actual story itself that they told, though, was not a huge fan of. Like I said already, the Zeus influence, not a big fan of that at all. And then not a big fan either of how in the beginning of the movie she tells her mom tells her that she doesn't want her to be a fighter or to be a warrior, and that literally makes no sense. Their entire culture is a warrior culture. Why would the queen's daughter not be a fighter? That doesn't make any sense at all. So I don't know why they did that. And then when they do start training her the hardest, the fastest, like that feels obvious, just kind of forced. And then the actual
are you fucking serious?
Yeah, I know. She's keeping it warm for you. She loves you.
You keep explaining.
Wow. Yes, attack.
You not rip up my shit for like 3 seconds.
So no.
Okay, keep explaining your book.
But like the actual backstory in the book that they gave, not a huge fan. And then, like I was saying, the Zeus influence, and then and then when they had the big fight they supposedly had with Hercules's army.
Uh
It's
huh.
like part of that is there for sure, but there's like a rewrite they did where Hercules is actually Wonder Woman's dad. I hate that rewrite.
Well, you hate the because what is it in the New 52 comics when that came out?
Well, now Zeus is his dad.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
Another rewrite.
That's what I'm saying is like I remember when the New 52 came out and it
Like,
turned
no.
out that Zeus was her dad.
No.
You had huge,
I have a huge problem
problems
with that.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, does it make sense?
Well, it's
Yeah.
like she's
But
a demigod.
I don't like it. No, she's been blessed by the gods with that power.
Well, I
She
think it's
wasn't,
more of
like-
a again, and it's more of a. It goes in the DNA of her character that the reason she's blessed or whatever is an act of rebellion
On
against
every form.
gods
Yep.
or the world of man or whatever. But it's part of her character,
Yep.
and it's why she is the way that she is.
Correct.
And thematically, that's what carries on through a good Wonder Woman story.
Totally, and she can still technically be a demigod. Like
Yeah.
there are demigods that got blessed with it.
As long
that
as
are
you're the
not-
child of a god, you're
right,
a demigod.
Right. So the fact that she was produced by a female god makes her very much a demigod. It doesn't have to be
Zeus.
It's just such an easy write out.
Exactly.
It's so
Exactly.
easy. It's like why
Plus,
would you do that?
Well, I will say in the comics again, I'm not as big of a fan as you, but like, it was cool that in the comics, it dug more into Greek mythology.
Oh,
like
massively.
she's steeped in it.
Oh,
She
yeah.
really is her world,
It is.
and we really didn't
See
get
any of that.
Yeah, I mean we got what is it? They talked about that one little thing where it's like, oh, there used to be gods and
Right.
Zeus, and then at the very end she has to fight Hades. But like
Oh my
you,
God.
outside of that, and they're the two
Ares.
most well known. Was it Ares or Hades?
It's
It was
Ares.
Ares. They're like the two most well known Greek gods, but when
Yeah.
it comes to like Athena or something
Yeah.
like that. In the comics, it's like, oh, we get to dig into this character, and
Yeah.
like they get there's all this lore already written about them,
Yup.
and like because at some points like Wonder Woman meets like Medusa,
Yep.
she like these
Which
big
is
big
like
characters.
one of my favorite storylines.
It's
She
really
goes-
good,
Dude, it's
but-
such a good storyline.
So it's like in this origin story, you would think that there would be more steep mythology,
I don't.
and, like just Greek mythology that pops up, but
They
she,
very
it's,
well. They
it's,
very well could have, and they should have, but
for this
people
movie, that's really not even.
it's
just
not.
the,
It's not there.
it's
I mean,
just the two most well-known gods, and that's it.
well, and I mean, there's like they could have thrown in a ton of really cool characters. Like you could have thrown Athena in the movie, and then people would be like, "Who's Athena?"
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden she gets like a resurgence.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, part of me is like because that was actually one of my other boxes. I was gonna say is like there's no
The Greek mythology.
there's no Greek mythology in it really at all. Like there's the gods, but there's no like follow through on like this is why this is important. And like even her armor, it's made by another god.
Yeah,
Like you and I
yeah.
were just watching the Justice League.
Yeah.
That's the guy
Yeah,
that did their armor.
So like Ares'
Like,
brother.
it's
or-
Ares' brother.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like I want to say Aragorn, but that's not it. It's like it starts with an E. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember the
Avon
name.
or
I can't
something
remember the
like
name of
that.
it, but
But anyways, so he's the one that made those, and he made them specifically for Diana.
Yep.
Like, so all of this is very specific. Like, it's not like, oh, a god just pops up and does things. Like, it's a tight knit circle,
well,
and that's why it's
exactly.
always so much like drama.
Well, that's what Greek.
because-
That's one of the best parts about Greek mythology is like the gods themselves are these characters and they're not perfect and they're flawed,
Massively.
which works really well for
Oh,
like
yeah.
an origin story of like this character or this god backstabbed them or they're
Yeah.
trying to underhand them in some way, and like you could have Ares' brother, I don't know if this is comic accurate, but you could have him make the armor because he wants someone to fight his brother to take his place. It's just like
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
play around with
Yeah.
that, even if it's not accurate, but it's like you can still play with these larger than life characters, but instead of using any of those characters that are already written for them,
literally written.
they just we're not gonna do any of that. We're not gonna do any of that.
Like, half of the movie could
and we're gonna have a fish out of water movie.
Yeah, like, half of the movie could have been the separation of going up here to the gods realm, and they're all talking and scheming and doing shit, and then go down back to the humans realm and be like, what does that, like, how does that affect them?
You know, like Gladiator, you could have Gladiator,
totally.
but with, like, instead of, like, the Emperor, you have, like, gods.
Yep.
You know, something that follows kind of that structure.
There is a movie that has that structure, and I'm trying to remember what it is. But it's like the gods are all talking up in, like, Mount Olympus. Oh,
I know what you're talking
you know
about.
what's a good example, which is crazy? Hercules.
Like the animated?
Like the animated Hercules,
Yeah.
when they're all up there and they're all talking and stuff, and they're
Having
looking
their
down
own
through
jamboree.
yeah, they're like looking down through the clouds, and then
Well,
they
yeah,
go
they're
back down.
characters.
Like
yeah.
but you could have had that as a separate plane of what's going on. Like, you didn't have to. You didn't have to do that for the movie. It's not necessary, but you can. You can have that play.
And that's the thing. So, like, to recap everything, if you were to describe a perfect Wonder Woman movie, or what you wanted out of it, how would you describe it? Because I would have described it as a gladiator type movie with, you know, Spartan type action, like 300 type of action.
Right.
Because it's directed, well, it's in the Scott Snyder universe anyway. And, you know, steeped in big Greek mythology with a strong, rebellious main character.
I really wanted to see... Yes, I wanted to see those things, but the thing that really stood out to me that I really was hoping to see was, because I'm not necessarily against a quote-unquote fish out of water story, but, like, you have those stories where the character is still, like, really strong, but obviously out of their element.
Yeah.
Because if you read, like, the initial comics, I'm okay with her... I would have wanted that to be the movie. I would have wanted... it to be her going them my brain's not working, having Steve Trevor show up, have them be like, what are we gonna do, have Wonder Woman convince them not to kill him, convince them that it's our jobs to help the rest of the world, do all that convincing, do the tournament, have her locked up, have all of that, and then have her fly Steve Trevor back. And that could have been the movie.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to do a secondary movie, I got there and I dropped him off. You have a continuation point. Or you could have had her drop him off.
That could have been the first half of the movie, because this movie is
long.
2.5 hours.
For no reason. For
the first hour of the, like, if it has to be 2.5 hours long, the first hour could have been just what you described.
All that, and that could have been a movie on its own. You could have gotten into all the characters that are on the island, the warlord that dies, and it has no weight to it because you don't care about this character.
Well,
that really irritates me. Like, you have no character development with anyone on the island at all.
Exactly. And I mean, and again, this is getting more into it, but just the final notes on what we wanted out of the Wonder Woman movie is, like, you know, and like a good origin story, one that I'm gonna reference is Batman Begins.
Right.
The very first hour of the movie is him just prepping, training, learning. Ra's al Ghul, all this stuff. They introduce the fear toxin. They introduce like all of these little elements, and then 1 hour in the movie, that's when the cape and cowl comes out, and then you see his new identity, Batman.
Right.
And that could have worked perfectly with this movie. Of the first hour or so is prepping, training, learning why she is the way that she is, going through all this stuff, doing the tournament, doing all this cool stuff, and then hour hits, I'm in America now.
And then when she's in America, do the awesome suit reveal.
Yep.
You know, do that at your hour mark. Do the great...
They actually do the suit reveal in the hour mark for Wonder Woman. They actually do that. I'll give them that. I'll give them that.
So you can keep that, but like...
But they spend like 20 minutes on the island maybe, and then they just...
Well, they spend more time on the island than that, but it's just... It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's so terrible. And the entire dialogue between her and Steve fucking horrendous,
Yeah,
dude.
it's pretty bad.
It's bad.
It's pretty bad.
Like, Steve is legitimately scared of her when they first take off. He's like, "Are you gonna kill me?"
Yeah.
Like
This
he,
crazy Amazonian
like,
lady
he-
who likes to stab things.
yeah, like he's legitimately fucking worried. And then as soon as they get off the island, she like softens because she's excited about this adventure and she's still a young person, and so she's like, and then she starts asking all these war stories because she's obsessed with war. So she's asking all these war stories and, well, what's going on and who's your, like, her whole thing about, I just have to kill Ares and the world will be over, is so naive and stupid. It hurts. She have been asking, and she did. She asked, well, who's your main generals? Where are the men in charge? Because I know it's men in charge. Where is that table?
Yeah.
Take me there.
Well, the thing is
Like-
even when because she shows up to that table in this movie.
Well, she does, but it's not because she's looking for it.
Well, that's the
It's
thing
just,
is
like-
she speaks up like once, and then they go, "Oh, a woman's in here," and then Steve Trevor's like, "Get out."
Well,
and
and-
he leads her out. I would assume in the comics she shows up to that table and she goes, "I'm not leaving."
No, and the way that actually would have worked if they wanted to make it accurate is she would have walked in and started saying her piece, because she can be a diplomat, but she doesn't get diplomatic until she gets a lot older. She's young and impulsive.
So she gets some battles under her
Well,
belt.
and she's young and impulsive right now. She's like ready to go. So when Steve gives her an opportunity to talk, which again, he shouldn't have to give her the opportunity, she should just take it, which I guess she kind of does, because she like storms in and throws her hat off all dramatic, and it's like, oh, I can't believe you guys would let this happen. Like, she's reacting. She's just yelling at them. She's not saying anything of substance. When they were actually talking about strategy and what they're doing, and when Steve was reporting, like, oh, we're just going to let them die, that's when she should have set up. And they're like, no, you're not. This is what you're going to do, because this is how you can save them. And then they go, well, who the fuck is this woman? And then they try to take her out, and she throws them through the wall. And he's like, why would you touch me like that? Listen to me, you fucking moron.
So that's the picture you have of comic book Diana.
Yes.
That's what she wanted.
That's what I wanted. I wanted something, another checkbook item that I really did want, and it didn't happen. Steve goes broke fixing all of Diana's shit. I want to say that so people understand it. She breaks everything because she does not understand how fucking strong she is. The first bar they go into, she breaks the bar and throws someone through the door because they said something smart to her and was like, excuse me, and threw him through the door, and she walks out because what the fuck are you gonna do? And then everyone's looking at Steve, and he's like,
I'll pay for it, I guess.
I'll pay for it. And so he literally goes broke. He goes broke and is pleading with her, please stop breaking things because I have no money left. Like, please.
More of that kind of dynamic.
That did not happen at all. Like, it's Steve trying to keep up with her and trying to keep her in check.
Well, yes.
Not the other way around.
Exactly. And that might be a good place. So we might make this 2 videos where we'll just have this video of this is the expectations.
Yeah, because
and then the other video of just like this is what we got.
And I haven't even
Because again, this is all pretext. We're already 40 minutes into this thing, and it's the context. And I think it's important to put out the context of this. I mean, this was the first. I mean,
this was the first
Wonder Woman movie.
Well, not just Wonder Woman. This is the first big female superhero movie. Period.
Captain Marvel came out before this.
Oh, that's true. Because
Captain
DC
Marvel
sucks
came-
dick.
Yeah, Captain Marvel came out.
I
But
love you, DC.
but I will say,
Why?
well, okay, so because
No, you're right.
Captain Marvel did come out before
first.
this.
No, you're right.
um,
You know who I would have liked instead of Captain Marvel? Not to sidetrack, but fucking Black Widow.
Black Widow should have
Black
gotten
Widow
her. There's a
should
whole
have-
can of worms.
like-
We're not even gonna talk Marvel quite yet,
Like,
but the fact that
she
Captain
deserves
Marvel got a
movie
movie.
so bad.
And then Black Widow got a movie after the fact that she died canonically. Was like, what the? Anyway,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. We're not getting into that.
So bad, dude.
Because what is it? Wonder Woman, she got a TV show with Linda Carter, right?
Yes.
And that was kind of the most representation she got when it came to on-the-screen live-action stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So this was the very first bona fide Wonder Woman high-production movie.
Oh, totally. Movie, totally.
And
actually,
so
because they had the TV show. I don't think they ever made a Linda Carter movie though.
I don't think they did either. I think it was only the TV show. So I think it's important to state, like, one reason why Lucy's so upset is because this was the movie that she has been waiting for
Forever, dude.
Because how many Batman movies have we gotten?
So many. I love Batman.
I love Batman. Don't get me wrong. I love
Batman.
Batman. But it's like, okay, how many Batman movies have we got?
So
How many Superman movies have we got?
many.
And so, when it comes to these characters, and, they did good with Iron Man, but, when it first came out, it was like, this is the first Iron Man movie. I want to see Iron Man. And they did awesome on it.
Yeah.
But this Wonder Woman movie, the expectations are like, hey, I want to see this picture of Wonder Woman that I have in my head and that I've read for years. And it just did not deliver on anything.
Okay, so this is what I was thinking. There was a movie pilot. It just never took off.
The TV show pilot. I know about this one. I know about this one.
Yeah, I was like...
But it was still a TV show. It wasn't a movie.
Well, no, it was a TV movie pilot. What does that
Oh, it
mean?
was a TV movie.
Yeah, TV movie.
Yeah. No, actually, I know about that one.
So there is that one, but that she doesn't.
It got
matter.
canceled, so
Yeah,
it got canceled, so it
matter.
doesn't matter.
Right. So Linda Carter, this show, the 1974 show, is
This is the
definitely-
closest we got.
Yeah, and it was like only like 3 seasons or something like that. So it wasn't even.
Plus, that was made during like the Adam West days. So we're talking,
yeah,
we're talking
we're
60s,
talking, woo!
60s.
Well,
So
74 is I think when it came
uh-huh.
out, so it was right around. Yeah, I think so.
I think because I think I saw a magazine with both Adam West and Linda Carter.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So it's just like, this is the 60s
well, then
we're
you
talking
had,
about.
And then you had.
So this was like 50.
What is it? What's this? Reeves, the first Superman.
Oh, Christopher Reeves.
So there's a photo
Yeah,
with all three of them.
I think I
the
remember
big
that.
three,
Yeah.
like so.
The Holy Trinity.
So that was it was always cool to see that older version. But even in that older version, she's not helpless.
Yeah,
like
I know nothing about that show.
There are definitely some sexism.
I do know that she spins around and changes her costume. I know about
Yes,
that.
that does happen.
That's all I know, though.
That does happen. But so what were we saying? Expectations.
Well,
so,
yeah, because
big
we didn't have any Wonder Woman content, live action Wonder Woman
At
content
all.
for 50, 60
At
years.
all. No content. There's so much to pick from. So much to pick from.
And
so the check boxes, to recap, we did we wanted a stronger in-your-face character, which included
a backbone. Yeah.
knocking shit over, breaking shit, being the lead,
Assertive.
being the lead of the movie.
Yes.
Obviously the lead of the movie. More Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much focus on this fucking love interest.
Uh-huh.
And then what was the last one that I just said?
More of like an origin story, because
more love. She just shows up on screen. It's just like, and I'm here.
And this is getting a little bit more into the one thing I really, really wanted to see was a solid, because this is so important for an origin movie and a character, is a character arc.
Yeah.
She has a character.
No, she doesn't.
There's no. And we'll get more into it next video. But the message of the movie gets so muddled in the end, to where it's like she could have had a character arc.
Yep.
but it's more of a character.
Well, I don't
Like
think
it's not even fully there,
they don't
and
give
that's
it. They don't give you a good arc because they don't start with a good base.
exactly.
There's no good base. For
She
them
really
to
is like
build
the
off
same
of.
character she
Like-
is at the beginning.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the movie.
She's not like maybe a little less naive, but like she
At the
doesn't
beginning-
go through a whole
Well,
arc.
and her version of naive is like the dumb version of naive. It's not
Yeah.
like naive. I just don't know. It's
Kind of
like
like dopey.
like,
Yeah, just kind of like
it's so frustrating. Like she can be a little naive. That's fine, but she
like it's almost
she-
ditzy.
She has anger
Yeah.
issues. She's super rebellious. She does not do what she's told. Like so much so that like in some like not the first set of comics, but like later on, like they start joking about it. Like, well, we don't want Diana to do this, so
Yeah.
let's go ahead and tell her to do this,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
she'll like avoid the shit out
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's almost like to her core, she rebels against any time anybody says no or
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck do you mean? It's not
Well,
gonna
that
happen?
and also,
Like,
you know, I don't even know if I want to mention it because there are stories of like Justice League. She's learning how to be part of a team.
yeah, totally.
They don't. It's not even a thought in the Snyderverse.
Yeah,
it's
like-
not even a thought.
Well, and
Because
then-
immediately, as soon as she like meets Batman, Superman, she's like, "Oh, I'm on a team now."
Yep.
And then the Justice League. It's we don't. It's too
We
far in
don't-
the.
we- yeah,
It's
we-
too
yeah,
far in the
yeah,
woods.
we-
It's
that's
too far in the
true.
woods. But
Yeah. Yep.
that is what we wanted. It's
Yes.
important context to establish what
Who
we
she
wanted,
is.
so we can explain why we are so not happy with what we ended up getting.
Yeah, like I wanted that, and then I wanted a really good, which didn't really happen. I wanted a really good fight scene, a really well choreographed, her
Yeah.
beating somebody down. Did you
Don't-
know that she does not punch a single person in the whole fucking movie?
Well, Lucy, don't you want a giant CGI fight at the end that
No,
kind of looks
I
like
don't.
a bunch of
I don't.
gobbledygook?
I don't.
But
I don't.
Lucy, what if they?
No.
What if the armor they CGI has a little slit so you can still see his mustache? Would
fucking
that
terrible,
sell you
dude.
on it, Lucy?
It's
Would it sell you on it?
terrible. I wanted a good fight scene. Oh, okay, and one more thing, since I get a picky.
And another thing.
I wanted Diana to be an unknown actress. I wanted her to be.
Gal Gadot was pretty unknown.
Let me finish.
Okay.
I wanted her to be an unknown actress that just dominated the screen. Like
a larger presence.
like what's the gal's name in Game of Thrones? And she's
oh,
awesome.
Brianna Tarth.
Brianna Tarth. I can't remember her actress's or
Yeah,
actor's
yeah,
name,
yeah.
but
I can't remember her name.
she is a perfect example.
A big.
I want someone like.
Well, she's an Amazonian.
like
She's
the,
supposed to be big.
What's God? Jumped into Game of Thrones. The guy's name with the red beard. He's great.
Torbeck.
But like the first time he sees her, he's like,
That's a
I
big
have
woman.
I have to climb her.
That's a big woman.
Like, he's like in love with her because she's gigantic.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're gonna make gigantic babies
Yeah.
to rule the world.
Exactly.
Like he was all about it. That should have been Steve Trevor's vibe. First off, and she should have easily 2 feet above him.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And like breaking out of suits and breaking
Well,
out
had
of like.
some shoulders to her. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
now like she is a
And-
warrior.
and,
She'll kick your ass.
As a discretionary thing, we're not trying to shit on Gal Gadot.
Oh,
She
no,
worked out
she's-
hard.
I
She
know,
worked out
but
hard,
you
but we're
can't-
talking about stature. We're
I'm talking about a
because she's
frame. I'm talking
she's
about a frame.
yeah she's
Like-
because she did work out. She did all this stuff, but she's
But as
a shorter lady,
Well, and I don't even
and she
know.
doesn't have that big
I
of a
don't
frame
even
to
know
her.
what her height is. Like, you could have somebody be. They could have had Gal Gadot do it and made her look fucking huge.
That's true. They could have put her
but
on
they,
some
but
stilts
they
or
did
something.
it.
Yeah.
They did it, and she just doesn't. She has a very slender frame.
Yes.
She's a gorgeous woman,
Yeah.
but she's slender. I don't want slender to be a descriptive word of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I want it to be Like, dude, like I
I wanted to be like, dude.
like,
How would you describe Wonder Woman, dude?
like when she walks by, I want the guys to be like, I need to go to the gym and work on my arms.
Yeah.
That's what the concept should be, especially for that time period. It threw people off. And then you could play on that because like you have this giant of a woman, someone actually says something to her, and she literally could like killed you essentially.
Yeah.
And
Well, it will add to the dynamic of Steve Trevor being a little scared of her.
which he should have been.
Yeah.
He is actually really worried about being with her. Like, as soon as they land, he's like, thanks, I'm out. And she's like, no, I'm here to help. And he's like, oh my god, why?
Oh my god.
Like, that's...
The biceps the size of my head.
That is the thought. That's totally what should have... Like, the way that they built She-Hulk, just not as aggressively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was the thought I had in my head for a Wonder Woman build.
Yeah.
I can't remember that actress's name, but she's in Guardians of the Galaxy, and she plays a bulky character. Maybe it's not Guardians. Maybe it's a different Marvel movie. I thought it was Guardians, though.
You're talking about the lady who plays the Green Lady?
Oh.
I was gonna say, she's kind of slender.
She's slender as well. No,
Oh.
I'm talking... It's a chick, and she's like an MMA fighter.
Oh, are you talking about the Mandalorian? There's a lady in the Mandalorian who's
Possibly.
pretty yoked.
Possibly, but like that. But that's the demeanor that I wanted
Yes,
her to
you wanted
hold.
an MMA fighter kind of look.
Yeah, like I wanted her to be like, dude, like she put her hair back, and that looks like a Viking warrior.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
she's gonna like beat my ass.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So that's absolutely what I would have liked to have seen more of, because that's just I don't feel like that was there. She's just so dainty of a character, like so dainty. And I knew that they were gonna do the gender role stuff. I knew they were gonna hit on it. It's this day and age, and it's a woman movie, so like it's gonna happen. But you could have done it so tactfully, and I really don't feel like they did. Like you could have done it like even when they did it in the comics, you know, it was pretty blatant sexism that was happening in the comics, but Wonder Woman would respond with something, you know, intelligent, or she would break their face. Like it was one or the other. It was like, oh well, is that really what you're gonna say because of this, that, and the other thing, you know? And she learns this tact, and you don't see her learning tact. She just has it.
Yeah.
And that's super irritating. Like,
yeah. Well, I think that covers
what we
our
wanted.
expectations, and I think it's good to break it up in two parts like this of
Yeah.
what we wanted versus what we got.
What else did you want in the movie? I'm trying to think.
Well, I don't know. I think you've hit all of it. Like, you know, again, nothing against Gal Gadot, but I would have
Right.
liked a larger
Stockier actress.
lady. I wanted a full character arc. I wanted something more, or her to be more warrior based.
Yeah.
I wanted more Greek mythology. I
Yeah.
wanted more of an origin story.
Yeah.
So I think we hit just about everything. Where
Character development, a
I've been
little
really
more.
good. Also, I guess what I also would have really liked to see, and if we're adding to the pile,
Right.
is you know, one really cool thing about and I'm gonna use God of War as a reference.
Okay.
One of the coolest part about those games is it's also in Greek mythology. As Kratos, or the main character, you get different weapons, and you see him use them differently. It just would have been really cool to see different fight scenes with Wonder Woman using different Amazonian weaponry. So you see her with a bow in one
Yeah.
scene. You see her with a spear in one scene.
And
You see her with a sword with
yeah,
one
see
scene.
her,
You see her
like,
with a
versatility in
yeah,
battle.
with a shield. Like, she's a full blown warrior, not
Right.
only with just one weapon, but she can pick up almost anything.
Whatever's there, I'll use.
Yeah,
it.
I will
Like,
pick up almost anything,
right.
and I will make this work skillfully.
Right.
Because again, she's been on that island for who knows how long, learning from just about everyone. So that's something that I as I was watching the action scenes, I was like, she really only uses sword and shield and that's it. But like seeing her with like a spear,
Yeah.
cool. Seeing her
Yeah.
bow and arrow, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Seeing her with like any other type of weaponry.
Well,
You could. I thought it would be really cool just for her to like what is it? She like a car gets thrown at her or whatever, and she like blocks it. And she doesn't have any weapons on her, so she just punches the car and makes like a thing of brass knuckles with it, and it's just hand to hand. Just what I mean, just whatever she can get her hands on, she is capable with because she's been training to fight with weapons her whole life.
Right.
So it's something that would have been cool to see, but that's just if I could make any changes to the movie or make my own movie about it, that is something that I would have added.
Agreed. Yeah, like all that, pretty much. I mean, I'm okay with artistic
Liberty.
leniency and liberty and changing a couple of the things. Like I'm all about that, but
not when it sucks.
yeah, dude. Like they didn't stay true really to the comics, like at all.
Yeah.
Like there's not like.
Well, yeah, they took this character and they just did what they wanted with her, with no regards of how she actually is. It's what happened to Luke Skywalker.
It's so frustrating.
It's what happened
dude.
to
At
Captain
least,
Picard.
At least Luke Skywalker got a couple good movies.
He
on
did,
screen.
yeah. That's the thing. Hollywood is unfortunately rife with people that are like, oh, this is a popular IP. That's all I care about. All I need is the IP, and then I'm gonna tell my own story. Have you seen what's this is too much into it, but like, it's happened to Lord of the Rings when the new show. It's happened to Captain Picard. It's happened to all these franchises, and unfortunately, Wonder Woman was one of the victims.
Yeah, totally. Because you're right. They're like it's money.
It's a recognizable, and unfortunately, you look at it, it's just like I think DC. I don't know if they had plans with this years ago, or if that Captain Marvel movie came out and they're like, we gotta pump out a female-led movie. Because Captain Marvel performed pretty well. That being said, it was in the midst of all the other Marvel stuff. Every Marvel movie was making great money. Well, it was like 2 movies before Endgame, or 2 movies before Infinity War.
Well, and they were throwing it in there so that.
So of course people were gonna see it.
Right. And
But,
so her tiny little bit in Infinity War.
Yeah. So I don't know. The movie kind of feels rushed because of that, and then also just part of me thinks is like, I don't think they made it out of like we want to tell a really good story with this character. It was more like, oh, Captain Marvel came out. Our cinematic universes, we gotta hit the ground running, and that's such a DC thing to do. Don't even DC, Warner Brothers. It's such a Warner Brothers thing to do.
Yeah, but specifically the DC movies that are coming out.
It's all Warner Brothers. That's all Warner Brothers.
DC Warner Brothers are tight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're the people making the movies.
Right. So I don't know. It's just like.
Disappointing.
Oh, well, it is, because it's like you said, you already have these characters that have.
The reason they're successful.
Flesh work.
The reason they're successful, and Wonder Woman's been around just as long as Batman and Superman. The reason these books have sold so well is because the character that they've made, people resonate with for some reason. So just don't change that.
Yeah.
Just don't change that. The reason why Batman sells well every single time is because for the most part, they stay true to his character.
Oh.
And it's like, no wonder it sells well every time, because that resonates and they're not changing it. Good job.
Yeah.
They changed Superman,
and
then people didn't like that movie. Right. Don't change the character.
Well, they have so much work already done for them. Like, the character's already made. People already love it. There's a reason they love it. And if you're just taking the shell of this character, part of me is like, is it because society is more like instant gratification now? So they're like, just put something big and flashy in front of the screen, and we don't have to put any context to it, and people will buy into it.
I think those are the suits at Warner Brothers. I think they're like, hey, as long we know this IP will sell, so let's just throw money at it.
Right.
Throw some stuff in it. It doesn't matter if the story is good or not.
When's the last time
it's gonna sell.
Just period. When's the last time you saw a movie that came out that you were like, that was a really cool idea, or that was a really great
That's-
use of that IP. This is
That's meandering. That's
I know,
too much. That's a whole
meandering.
other thing.
I know,
Anyway,
but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
yes,
that it
yes.
is that thought process
Yes.
for whatever we do out of that conversation is
well, that
happening.
could be its own fucking episode.
It's doing.
We could
all
just
this
talk
over
about
and
Hollywood.
like it's just doing it over and over and over and over again, and it's just like these great materials are just like
Squandered.
squandered. These, there's so much.
Anyway,
We talk so much about
Anyway, so that's our first episode for the Wonder Woman 2-parter.
which we did not get into a lot of the hate. There was just a lot
Well,
of
exactly,
hope.
exactly,
There's
and
a
that's
lot of hope of this is what we wanted.
well, yeah. Again, I
Like-
think the context is important. So if people watch this one, when they watch the
Yes.
next episode, we'll be able to build off of this conversation of like, yeah, this action really
built into this
conflicts with the
yeah.
idea I had.
Yeah. Well, and this second episode is probably going to be a little.
The
bit
second
longer.
one's going to be more irate. The second one's
Alright.
going to be more hate filled. But this one was, I mean, there's still anger in it.
Oh, there's
but,
anger. You can hear it. Like,
But it's more of a we're setting it up so we can knock it down.
well, totally, because talking to the about. I could the whole movie essentially needs to be sectioned into 4 parts.
Yeah,
about why
it would be
sucks.
too long if we got into it
Here,
now.
here,
This video
and
would be
here.
2.5 hours. The review of this movie would be as long as the fucking movie if we start talking
And
about the actual movie.
and
Lucy.
somehow-
It's too much. We both are. The first thing I wrote down was 2.5 hours. I'm not gonna do it to the audience. We're not gonna pull a Wonder Woman on them. We're gonna end it to just an hour in.
Well, the
And then the next time they'll watch an hour and a half of us losing our minds.
the worst part about it, Abe, is our 2.5 hours eating it to shreds
Yeah,
is
yeah.
gonna be better than the actual
exactly.
movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So much frustration. But yes.
But anyway, I think what we're trying to say, is the costume was pretty cool.
The costume was pretty cool. Yep. That's
Wow.
all I can give
Yeah.
it, guys. What's the director's name? Patty something?
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, I've got some.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to you, Patty.
I have some notes for
Well,
you if you're
I-
watching.
I have some notes I would love to talk
Yeah.
about for so many things in the movie. Not even Wonder Woman related, just woman related to be
Yeah,
empowering to women. But it's fine.
Oh, what do I know?
But it's fine. It's fine.
Well,
It's fine.
till next time.
Till next
Till
time.
next time. Hey, next time you get to go all fucking out.
Oh, I will.
You get to
I'm
go
going to.
all out next time.
I'm going to say all the anger and all the things.
Perfect.
All the hate.
Go. Well, see you next time.
So, boys.